Well, hey guys. Hey everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Y'all, that didn't take long. That didn't take long for Todd and Julie and Chase to respond to Lindsie Chrisley's tell all. And there's more coming. Okay. So the Chrisleys, Todd, Julie, and Chase, they sat down to record a podcast about Chase, their son Chase becoming sober and going through his addiction and getting help. That's what they sat down to record their podcast about. However, the morning they sat down to record this, they had gotten word from their attorneys that Lindsie was recording a three-part podcast with evidence to discuss the estrangement and everything that is going on between her and her family. What is so shisty about this, you guys? What is so shady about this? We're going to listen to it. We're going to listen to their response. First off, there's more coming. This is their response to just finding out about it. This is not their response to watching it because it hasn't aired yet. So they filmed this episode on October 21st. The podcast episodes had not came out, so they had not watched them yet. They haven't even watched because they haven't even came out yet. So this is them only responding to the news that she is doing the three-part tell-all, right? And they have some things to say. What's interesting is before Lindsie airs her three-part tell-all, she sent them a cease and desist. So my thing is, like, if you're going to do your tell-all, you shouldn't send a cease and desist and expect them not to respond because you know they're going to. You know they're going to respond to this, but it makes me wonder if Lindsie sent the cease and desist with hopes. I mean, she should know at least Todd well enough to know that if he's going to say something, it doesn't matter if there's a cease and desist in place or not, or if he's been sent one, he's going to respond. Which a cease and desist is nothing. It has no legal capability. I mean, I guess if you move forward with suing someone, then you can say, we did warn them, we sent them the cease and desist, and the judge will take that into account. But you don't have to shut up just because you received one, right? So I want to give it a little bit more time so more people can get into the chat. She did it hoping they wouldn't respond to her tell-all. Yeah, anybody could send a cease and desist. Zuna, if I knew your address or even a P.O Box, like, I could type one up and send it to you. There doesn't have to be a reason behind it. I mean, if you're really crazy, you can send one to somebody for no reason. Or if somebody's been talking about you publicly, you can say, you know what? I don't want them to keep talking about me. I'm going to send them a cease and desist. Hey, Marsha, you missed it. Marsha, we were on TikTok earlier. We watched the part 3. And Todd and Julie, they just uploaded a response to Lindsie, finding out Lindsie did this 3-part tell-all. Thank you, unashamed Jesus lover. Thank you. I appreciate that. I braided it the other night. Last night, I went to bed with it wet and just braided it, and it kind of did this. So this morning, I just hit a few curls in it and threw it up. Now, here's the thing. Savannah's going to respond. We already know this. Notifications, y'all. These platforms, they didn't try to do nothing to help me. You know what I'm saying? Here's the tea. Here's the tea. Is that first off, this is only their response to finding out about it. I can't even imagine what their response is going to be once they listen to them. You know, they've probably already listened, already recorded, and right now their responses are being edited and are going to be put out over the next few days, more than likely. I'm sure Savannah's going to come with a response, and I'm pretty sure Todd is too. And what's crazy is Todd was like, Kale, I thought we were friends. He's going to eat Kale up. He's going to have Kale for supper. You already know because Kale played into it. And listen, I like Kale. I give Kale a lot of grace because the way she was raised. Like, yes, she has a lot of baby daddies, but I give Kale a lot of grace because she didn't have parents. You know, she didn't have people to look up to try to know how to be a parent or what to do or what not to do. You know what I'm saying? So I give her a lot of grace. However, Kale was very blinded by her friendship with Lindsie and did not really, I mean, of course she's going to be biased because Lindsie is her friend, but she was completely blinded by their friendship. Like, she did not do her proper research to know that Savannah has only ever said she had no help in regards to like getting her parents out of prison. She has talked openly about Nanny Faye helping her with Grayson and Chloe. She has had Grayson on her podcast talking about how Grayson helps her with Chloe. She's had Nanny on her podcast where they've talked about Nanny helping her. Nanny was on the documentary talking about how she helped Savannah. So, but Kel's like, oh, I'm going to call BS right now on Savannah saying she didn't have help. She only said that in regards to getting her parents out of prison, in regards to like Chase didn't help her do anything. Lindsie didn't help her do anything. Kyle didn't help. As far as like, she was the only kid of theirs that was going to DC, that was doing everything that needed to be done to try to advocate for her parents to get them out of prison. You know, they are. They are going to eat her for lunch, and they're gonna. I think they're gonna eat Kale up too. They're gonna eat Lindsie up. I think they're gonna eat Kale up too. Kale is best friends with Matt Matthews. I just saw that, and Savannah had Matt Matthews on her podcast. Sure did. Yep, sure did. I'm very curious, like what Kale has to say about Matt Matthews being on Savannah's podcast. Kale and Lindsie both just validate each other. Neither of them hold each other accountable. Exactly. So yeah, you guys, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna listen to it, and I was disappointed in Kale because she said things that were not accurate. I was just disappointed. Lindsie, them doing the crossover podcast, them claiming that Savannah would have never had the following on her podcast if it wouldn't have been for her, doing the crossover podcast with Lindsie. Excuse me, ma'am, but Savannah is more popular than Lindsie. Savannah is more well known than Lindsie. Savannah was on a hit reality TV show for several years. It had just ended. She had her own show. Her and Chase had their own show. Savannah didn't need to be on Lindsie Chrisley's podcast for hers to take off. She didn't need that. I know, right? Like for them to be like, well, her podcast was the only one that grew. Ours didn't. Yeah, because it was the third episode. It was the third episode. So, of course, everybody, all of Savannah's fans, everybody that watched the show is just finding out that Savannah has a podcast. So, yes, it grew after the third episode. The reason Lindsie and Kale's didn't, or Lindsie's didn't, is because they were already 4 years in. And that was their proof. That was their evidence that that Savannah was the one that like needed the crossover, that it helped her more than them. Well, it helped her more than us because we didn't grow none. She's the only one that grew. Yeah, because guess what, Lindsie Chrisley? If that would have been your third episode, and it would have been Savannah's 4 year into it, guess who wouldn't have grew? Savannah. You would have, because it would have been your third episode. How does common sense not play a factor here? Savannah was on a hit reality TV show that it just ended. It actually, the episodes were still airing, but they had decided to cancel the Chrisleys because they had been indicted on what. So they canceled them, but their show was still airing. So Savannah was on a hit reality TV show, starts a podcast, and you think because she was on your podcast, the crossover, that is why she grew? No, it's because it was the beginning of it. Let's go ahead. We're gonna listen. I've been talking long enough for more people to come in. We're gonna listen to what they have to say about this.
Good morning and welcome to Chrisley Confessions 2.0. First of all, I want to start this episode by saying that we are recording today, which is October 21st. And
that's what I'm saying, Tiffany. Like some people didn't even know Lindsie even had one until the crossover with Savannah.
Episode will be airing in a couple of weeks. So any information that we give out or speak of today is going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. I just wanted to give you that heads up before we start.
So you're kind of like enticing people or letting people know that we're time stamping stuff.
Well, I just think it's important for this particular episode for people to know that it's going to actually come out in 2 weeks. And
not me coming out in 2 weeks. The episode's coming out in 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah. So that's that. Because
I'll just say, I love how Todd plays into it. Not me coming out in 2 weeks. I love how he does not He doesn't care.
Do think we're going to be discussing some things today that we were just made aware of this morning.
Yes.
And so without actually knowing what the information is. So we're going to address it a little bit.
I think we know what the information is because Lindsie has said it a million times, but has said it in a million different ways. We found out this morning through our attorneys that Lindsie had been working with Kale Lowry, is the last name Lowry?
Yes.
Kale Lowry, who we don't have any issues with, right? I mean, nobody in the family has any
I've never
issues
had
with
an
her.
issue with her.
We never met her.
Right,
No, I
I've
don't
never
know
met her. So I don't have any issues with Kale because I've never met Kale. But we were told this morning that Kale did this.
You actually did have a conversation with her one time. There was a conversation years ago, I believe. You, Lindsie, and Kale, you were on a call.
Oh, I do remember.
Years ago.
Oh, and I liked her. Yes, I know who this is.
Yes.
Yes. Kale, what is wrong with you? I thought we were friends. But at any rate,
Love that. Listen, that tells you right there. Listen, he remembers. Wait a minute now. So when he hears how Kale played into this and how Kale went into this without common sense, just like defending Lindsie and going at Savannah, I have a feeling he's going to eat her up.
get a phone call this morning from our attorney notifying us that Lindsie has been working with Kale on this 3-part podcast. And don't forget, she has tagged Patreon because we're going to give you content for free. She wants you to pay to get content for receipts. I'm going to give you receipts for free. So we find out that
And Todd has always been about that. Like if he wants the proof out there, he puts it out there for free. And I do have to stop and commentate on it. I am sorry, you guys. If you just want to watch what they have to say, you can go to their right here, Chrisley Confessions. And I do have it linked at the top of my description box, the link to take you straight through it. I have to stop and give commentary on this for copyright purposes. So if you don't want to hear my thoughts, you can just run over to, listen to it without me pausing it.
she's doing this podcast, and I think they started it out with clips of, we've all had our say, now it's time for the truth to come out. The truth has come out. It's come out. It come out in court. So I don't know how many times I don't know how many ways you can spin this shit. I mean, I'm over it. I'm not still talking about this stuff anymore. I think I said in our podcast a couple of weeks ago that I'm going to have this final discussion and I'm done with it. Yes, Lindsie had an affair with Robbie Hayes. Yes, Lindsie had an affair with Josh Murray. Yes, Lindsie has done things that was outside of what she was raised to do. Yes.
Can I just say too is if this isn't true and she served them with a cease and desist, I want to see a lawsuit coming. If what he's saying is a lie, I don't know, like, not that you have to sue somebody when they're lying because a lawsuit is very expensive. But, when Lindsie was talking about her side, she never said that she cheated. And I'm wondering if the way that he means it is because he is Christian. To him, maybe if you're not divorced, if you sleep with someone, that is considered cheating. Maybe that's the way that he means it. I did read TMZ. I read a story with TMZ that said that Lindsie cheated on Will. So I'm wondering, did she actually cheat on Will when they were still together? Or because Lindsie never said that. Lindsie never said she cheated. She only said they were separated and she messed with, she didn't even say Josh Murphy. I don't remember. She didn't even say the other one. She only said Robbie Hayes. But I do remember there was two of them. Josh Murphy, whatever. And then Robbie, the Robbie guy. There was two of them back in the day when all these tweets were happening. There was two of them.
I was pissed off about that. Yes, I sent her some tweets that I should not have sent, that I addressed years ago because I was so furious after finding out that she was working with Josh Waits with the Georgia Department of Revenue. Now, I know that she is going to say in this clip or whatever, based off of the information that we're being given, she never had a relationship with Josh Waits. I don't know what you did with Josh Waits, other than what I've read and what the depositions say when Josh Waits was deposed. I don't understand why we're still talking about this. You send me, your brother Chase, Savannah, you send all of us a cease and desist. This literally what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
A week ago.
So a week ago, you got
A week and a half ago, yeah.
Okay. We're in LA when this happened, right?
Yes.
Isn't that something you were gearing up to do a whole series about them? You're gearing up to do a whole series about them, but you send them a cease and desist? What? Why? girl, you better know they're going to say something. To me, that's weird. Oh, yeah. Julie is tired of it.
So you send a cease and desist from an attorney saying that you were not involved in having me prosecuted. That's just not true. I mean, the records show what they show. The attorney, bless her heart, who's been given this much of the truth and the rest has been fabricated, that Lindsie had nothing to do with any of this case and working with the feds and what have you. That's just not true. When you send an email and you say, my dad has been getting away with this kind of behavior forever, I guess you're going to turn a blind eye to it and there's no justice for me. That's you working with the federal government. When you say in court, and this is the problem that is for me problematic. When you're on a stand, you're under oath, and when you are asked a question, it's under the penalty of perjury. She was asked in court, did this sex tape exist? Do you now believe that you were being blackmailed? No. But today, it's a conversation that Lindsie and I had at this restaurant, Sugar's in Chattanooga, where she says that she's the one who wanted to have a meeting, by the way. I met her there and she said, she starts giving me all these things that I knew were a lie. And you know this because I called you and said, I don't know what was accomplished today because she's going to ride these lies until the gates of hell fly open. But in that meeting that I had with her, I specifically said, Lindsie, I don't know if what I'm getting ready to say is true or not, but you need to leave Chase alone. Stop with your bullshit, because people within your own circle is reaching out to him, have called him while he was in LA, has told him that there's a sex tape between you and Robbie Hayes. And they're trying to sell it to him for $5,000. You know that's what I told you that I said to her.
Yes.
How do you spin that to you're being extorted? No one gives a shit if you had a sex tape. That's a rite of passage today with these trashy ass kids. Did I want it out there about my daughter doing that? No.
That was the whole thing. Was like, if it, first off, we've never seen it. Never had it in our possession. But the only reason I was even willing to entertain the conversation was to keep it from coming out and to keep everybody from seeing it.
Mm-hmm. And you did send text messages. You had a text communication.
This is like a decade ago.
So really, how long ago was it?
I don't even know. I think I was like 21. So 8 years ago.
So 21, 22. Now, don't say 8 years ago, because you know that Barbara Walters, if she's got a text message pertaining to that, she's going to say, see, he lied and said 21.
Well, it was a long time ago.
So with that being said, you came to me. You called me after saying that you had a conversation with somebody at this Sky Bar where all y'all drunks were hanging out. Mm-hmm. So tell me, repeat again what you called and told me.
I mean, I just called and told you that people were talking about it and somebody approached me and said they had it and they would give it to us for $5,000.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I'll take it, because then it can be destroyed. Then nobody's going to see it.
Mm-hmm. But at any time, what would you have been extorting her for?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What does she have that I want? Nothing. I don't want.
And you were making more money than she was making. So what was you extorting her for? She wasn't even on the show anymore. You were still filming.
That never happened. Like I was never like, oh, Lindsie, I've got this. You need to give me. That never happened. It was over 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Okay. And we're still talking about it.
Yeah. Like, do you know
we're being forced to talk about
other things that are going on? Like, that's old news.
Yeah. For something, why are you still, if it were me, I would shut up about it.
Yeah. Why do you want it to keep being?
Why do you want to keep regurgitating all this stuff?
Right. I would too.
What did I say in the car on the way home?
Yes, I agree.
And, and then talking about the altercation. We've never come out here and talked about what happened in the house with Lindsie and you.
Right.
And yet her version is that you attacked her. But there was an investigation by the network. They sent an attorney in who interviewed all the staff and crew. Every one of them, the exact statement was, I've never had interviewed this many people whose versions of the facts were 99% the same.
So when Lindsie talked about this, though, she said something along the lines of nobody could talk when this was investigated because she thinks they were under an NDA. But Todd is saying, like, the network done an investigation. The network asked everybody. The network had people there. Like, because they were filming that day, there were still people there, I think, from my understanding, that they were claiming some of production was still there and kind of witnessed what happened. But Lindsie says, when Kale asked, well, did anybody, like, acknowledge, your story of what happened? Did anybody acknowledge that you were telling the truth? She's like, Well, nobody could talk about it. Nobody could answer because I think they were like under an NDA or something, which didn't make sense to me either. Because an NDA for the show only pertains to something that may come out on the show or that is happening on the show. It doesn't pertain to what happens like in your everyday life. It does not pertain to what happens in your everyday life. You can talk about that. They can talk about that. If it's not going to be aired on the show or something to uncover what's going on the show, the NDA, and two, if criminal behavior is happening, you can absolutely talk about that. You can go to the police about that. And allegedly, according to Lindsie, Julie got physical with her. So that would not be protected by an NDA, which didn't make sense to me. And I would think Lindsie would know that. Somebody that's been on reality television, I would think she would know the fact that they weren't filming that and it was not going to be on the show. An NDA would not have any bearings on that situation happening, and anybody and everybody that witnessed it could be able to talk about it.
That you never touched her, that she was disrespectful to you, that she called you outside of your name, that she looked at me and said, "Get your bitch on a leash," all of that.
Yes, she did.
Lindsay's saying she never went and got Chloe out of bed in order for her to do a social media post. Is that true?
Yeah.
Did Lindsie go get her out of bed?
Yes, she did.
And you came and told me. I said, "Why is Chloe up?" And you said, "I don't know. Let me go check." Emily then.
No, that wasn't what happened, actually.
Well, what happened?
What happened was the house was full that night because we were actually filming a commercial on top of filming.
Right.
And I had put Chloe to bed early that night because she had a nosebleed. So she was in bed.
She did say that, right? At least she said the network whisked her away to a hotel. Network took her to a hotel, then whisked her away to her house. If there's a physical altercation happening, who do you think they're going to try to get rid of first? The person swinging, the person throwing punches. They're going to try to get that person out of the house. Especially like the network is there. They're going to try to, these are people that work for you. They're going to try to get the one that's being physical out of the house. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't that make sense that they would try to get her out of the house?
My nightly routine with her was I would twist her hair, I would put it in a bonnet, and that's how she went to bed every night. I walk through the foyer and I see that her light is on. So, of course, I'm going to go up to make sure that she's okay because she's had a nosebleed before. Right. I walk up to the top of the stairs and Lindsie is in there with Emily, who was our makeup artist at the time. And they were trying to fix her hair. And I never said anything. I never opened my mouth. I just looked at her. I just looked at the situation. And I went outside and got you. And I said, "I'm not sure what's going on, but Chloe is up. Like, Lindsie has gotten her up out of bed and they're trying to do her hair."
Right, because I was in the garage when it happened. That's right.
So that Lindsie could have her on a post with her. That's what transpired. And then Lindsie comes in and she starts screaming and hollering, cussing at me. And she's right up in my face, and I tell her, "Get back, get back." I said, "Lindsie, you're not going to speak to me this way in my house. Get back." That is what happened. It was a horrible situation. I don't like to argue or fight with any of my kids. So it was horrible, but we ended up having to.
Lindsie, when she talks about them, she don't call them like mom and dad. She says Todd, Julie. She doesn't say mom and dad. But Julie still says, like, my kids. She still refers to Lindsie as her kid.
Filmed together the next day. So if you're a homeowner in America, you need to listen to this. The FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud on the rise called title theft and off-surface cleaning solution.
So we went to LA for me to shoot another show right after that. And the next thing we heard was that Lindsie had an attorney and was going to sue the network.
Right.
Because she had been cut from the show.
Right.
So my thing is that it's unfortunate that we have to get up to this again and we have to start addressing the same shit that we've addressed for 6 years or longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it is unfortunate because, listen, I'm not drama filled. I do not like drama. I do not like for there to be this tension within the family. I don't like it.
It's not really tension. It's not like any of us have a relationship with her.
We
don't even speak.
But it keeps coming up. There keeps always.
Well, that's the reason that it keeps coming up. But this is the thing.
How are you going to send a cease and desist to all of us, basically saying that we are not allowed to mention her name, and then you're going to go and charge people to come and watch you talk shit about all of us, but yet you're trying to hold us back legally?
Exactly.
In what world?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's
crazy.
When I got the cease and desist, I laughed and said, "Can you believe that this is what is happening again? And that you're going to send your father a cease and desist and then in the same breath be calling your grandmother saying that you love me and that you want me to call you and that, you know, you want to address the things that has happened. I don't need to address them. We've addressed them. Did we not address all this stuff before we went to prison?
Yeah. Well,
So
like I
boring.
said, this whole thing is unfortunate, and I do not wish for it to continue. I do not wish for it to keep going on. I wish that everyone would let it go. I mean, honestly, let it go. And, you know, I do feel like, because regardless of what anyone says, I raised all these kids as my kids. And whether people know it or not, after Lindsie was an adult, she actually asked me to adopt her. And I did that. I had a conversation with her. I told her
Behind my back.
but yeah, she came to me without Todd knowing, and asked me, would I adopt her?
So let me just tell you guys, Julie seems like so fed up with it. Like she seems like she's hurt, and she just seems like she's so fed up with it right now. And she's tired of Lindsie painting them as like these horrible people. That's why she's telling us, like, listen, I adopted her. Like she came to me asking me to adopt her. And I did it. You know, she seems so fed up.
And I told her, yes, I will adopt you, but that's not going to change how I feel about you. But if it's something that you feel like needs to happen in order to help you to heal and grow, I would. But under the circumstances, and there were two,
Shelby.
you have to speak to your father and you have to speak to your biological mother. Because I felt like that was important for her to talk to her biological mother, let her know what she was going to do, and speak to you about it. She did that to both of you. And then she actually coordinated. All I did was show up with my attorney, and we signed the paperwork. So whatever the narrative is, if I was so bad to
At 18 years old,
then why as an adult would you want me to adopt you? Like what do you, if your intentions are pure and or were pure and you just wanted, that's all that you really wanted, and there was no ulterior motive, like how was I this horrible person who, you know, didn't love you and didn't parent you the way that I parented everyone else? And so it hurts me because I can tell you my intentions from literally 1995 have been pure. I have always wanted what was the very best for this family. And this family meaning me, you, Lindsie, Kyle, Chase, Savannah, Grayson, and Chloe. And so it is hard for me because, you know what, I feel like I put in a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of work, a lot of love, a lot of hurt, a lot of everything to end up where we are today. And it's really a sad situation.
Well, I think that if you know, because you've got so many people that follow everything that we do and say, it's sad because the story keeps changing so much. Because I read an article where she had stated that as growing up, she always felt like she was on the outside looking in.
Oh my God.
But yet at 18, she comes and asks you to adopt her.
Right.
How does that make sense? If you felt that way, why do you want to stay in that?
Right.
So, you know, I don't understand that. I really don't. And I think it's sad. And the sad part about it is that there's a child involved here that is going to see all this stuff. And it needs to stop.
Yeah.
So we're not going to feed into it other than what we've said today. We will address as these podcasts come out.
Ooh, I
We
can't
will
wait.
address them, and we will put our own receipts out there, which is something that I had been holding off in doing. Now, what the network did, keep in mind, folks, we were not here when these episodes were filmed. The network put receipts out there. The network, and the irony of this is that the network's not being sued. The production company's not being sued. And the reason for that is because what the network put out there was the truth. So whatever, and remember, we're going to give you court documents. We're not going to give you text messages that could have been manipulated. We're not going to give you conversations that were not recorded. We're not going to do that. We're only going to address it with a legal document. And then we're moving on from it. Because I know it bothers you. And I know that it eats at you because you want to be left alone. My thing is that you've gone on your podcast, you've gone on your social media, you've said that you changed your last name because Chrisley had hurt you with brand deals.
That's not the reason she's gotten a brand deal.
Well, the press and a lot of people on social media have said...
Let's just call a spade a spade. She's pissed off that she got kicked off the show and she didn't have that paycheck anymore. That's what this is about. She's bitter about all this, and she's bitter because she got caught working with the government to do what she did to y'all, and now she just wants to regurgitate and spit up the same shit she's been doing for the last 7, 8, 9 years. I don't really give a shit about this anymore. I don't care. Like, just shut up.
Well, that's because you're in a better place too, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Yeah, just shut up and move on, dude.
I mean, you know, for me, if you want to change, if you're going to change your last name, take our last name off your social media. Stop using it to get clicks. Stop using it for you to get attention. I mean, you know yourself that we have had press come to us and say, we want to do a story with you. I said, if you want to ask me anything about Lindsie, you go to her. And what did they say that why they didn't want to do a story with Lindsie? It didn't generate what? She did not generate the clicks.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's what they said. She did.
That's another thing. And anybody that knows me knows I'm not one about generating clicks. I'm not one about the gotcha moments. That's just not, because at the end of the day, this is a family. No matter how fractured it is, it is a family. And so I don't even want to hear about clicks. I don't even want to hear about.
I'm referencing what we were told.
No,
by the
I
press
agree.
people.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying in reference to press and because they don't care. They don't care. It is all about the clicks for them.
That's right.
And that's just really unfortunate.
And I'm not going to give it to them either, because as I've said, Lindsie and Kyle are my children. I love them. I wish nothing but the best for them. I want God to bless them. I want God to temper their hearts, and I want him to bless them and to move them on. That's what I want for them. I want no less for them than I want for our children. But I'm not going to keep putting myself in a position to have to respond to the negativity. We all have moved forward. We all are moving forward. Unfortunately, Lindsie has a problem in doing that.
Okay, so I am so grateful to be here in this season. I absolutely love fall and just trying to slow down and indulge.
The one thing I do got to say about the Chrisleys is they get so many, what are these? Brand deals. It literally, look how long it is. 27.19. There we go.
Stuff that she's doing right now is a strike back because the truth has come out.
This is just a money grab.
Well, it is, because you're selling the content on, what is it, Patreon?
I don't know.
Yeah, you're selling the content on Patreon. So, yeah, that's okay. We're not going to sell you the content. Anything that is said about us that I have done, I'm going to tell you I did it. I did send some tweets. I shouldn't have said it. I think one of them I said something about you've had as many men through your sheets as the Bachelor's had contestants or something like that. Shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have said it. But when you find out your child is working with the feds, working with the Georgia Department of Revenue, and going and filing false police reports, then yeah, you're pissed off. When you find out that there might be a sex tape of your daughter out there, yeah, that pisses you off. So shouldn't have said it. I should have been the bigger person as the parent. You said that.
Yes, I agree. And I did say that.
And nothing grates me more than that.
And see, he can say that. He can admit, I should not have done that. Like, I can't think, was there anything in Lindsay's video where she said, I shouldn't have done that? Maybe I shouldn't have done that? I don't remember hearing her say, you know what, I responded this way, and maybe I shouldn't have responded that way. Like when she lost it because Nanny Faye had a doctor's appointment, and Todd was like, hey, I need you to let Nanny Faye know that, maybe she could do it via Zoom or telephone, or y'all can reschedule it because she got a doctor's appointment, and she's usually tired for a few days. So, I need you to let Nanny Faye know that, like, y'all aren't going to do the podcast, or you're going to do it via Zoom or telephone. What does she do? Oh my goodness. Nanny Faye, her sick nanny, right, is supposed to be on Lindsay's podcast. What does Lindsie say on her part thing? Well, we had scheduled Nanny Faye to be on my podcast, but I really feel like the reason they wanted to cancel this is because it didn't fit into their narrative that we didn't have a relationship anymore. So Dad messages me and says, hey, you need to let Nanny know that y'all need to reschedule it or do it via Zoom or telephone. So he never said, don't do it at all. He just said, let her know that y'all can reschedule or do it via Zoom or telephone, which tells me he wasn't trying to keep Nanny Faye from going on the podcast. She had already been on it. If you literally look, there was a podcast that Nanny Faye did with Lindsie on her podcast channel or whatever, where Lindsie was wearing like a green shirt. This was while they were in jail. So it wasn't, she's like, they didn't want Nanny to be on there because it painted, it didn't go with their narrative that we didn't have a relationship. Or maybe they didn't want Nanny on there because she had a doctor's appointment come up. And she's usually tired after these appointments. So they didn't want her driving all the way out there. They didn't want her drive. And then they talk about how Savannah said something about putting Nanny and Chloe on a plane to go. And Kale's like, so she's too tired to drive, but she's not too tired to get on a plane and go. Well, excuse me, ma'am, but that is a little bit different. Driving, 10, 15 minutes to the airport, getting on a plane, sleeping for a few hours while you're on the plane, and then getting out and going and catching your ride. Yeah, the way that Kale just like licked her butt the whole time really had me furious because I'm like, Kale, oh, so she's too tired to drive hours to you, but she's not too tired to hop on a plane. I would much rather, I mean, I'm scared of flying, but if I wasn't, I would much rather fly somewhere than drive if I'm exhausted. You know what I'm saying? But Lindsie literally, oh my goodness, when her dad sent her that email saying, listen, Nanny has a doctor's appointment. After those appointments, she's really tired for a few days. We don't even know if she was getting chemo. Like, we don't know what they were doing at these appointments, that she was tired for a few days. Lindsie did not say, oh man, I hate to hear that. Well, we had it scheduled for this day, but you know what? Yeah, we can do it via Zoom. Yeah, we can do it by the phone. Or you know what? I'll just do something different that day and I'll schedule it for next week. How about that? No, instead, she sends Todd this scathing email back about how unprofessional that was. And she shouldn't have to pivot last minute. And she's already put money into this. Like, what? This is your grandmother. This is your grandmother that you're mad because an appointment. And she's like, if they knew about this appointment, then why did they let her, like, why were we able to schedule her on my podcast? Maybe the appointment came up last minute. Or maybe, yeah, they knew about the appointment 2 months ahead of time, but as they forgot about it when they let her schedule to be on with you. Maybe as it got closer, they were like, oh crap, she's got this appointment on Monday, but she's supposed to be, she's supposed to go do Lindsay's podcast on Wednesday. Crap, that ain't going to work. So let us fix that. Let us change that. Let us see if she can do it via Zoom or on the phone. He literally, it don't go with her narrative. She's claiming it don't go with his narrative that we don't have a relationship. So they wanted to cancel it. Then why did he offer, hey, say she could do it via Zoom or telephone? So her own explanation of these things don't even make sense. Never did she say, and you know what, looking back on that, honestly, like knowing that Nanny, got cancer and all of that, and she was dealing with that, I do feel bad that I responded that way. I was thinking more about, how much I put into the podcast to have to cancel last minute or change things up last minute. So yeah, I kind of responded kind of, ooh, I wish I wouldn't have. She ain't apologizing for nothing she did. Nothing. Right? I give up all my money to get my grandmother back the past 25 years ago. Right? Exactly.
Have to look at my wife and say, you was right. But you were right. I shouldn't have done it. Let this be a learning lesson for you.
Yes.
I shouldn't have done it. So you need to tone down some of the Todd in you.
Yes.
But at any rate, my goal today was just to kind of do a recap of what we've just found out. Yeah, her podcast will hit tomorrow. We'll listen to whatever it says. We'll address it.
I'm not listening to it.
Well, I'm going to have
You have to go pay for it.
No, you
Now
don't.
you listen to hers. You listen to hers on the same way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've never listened to it. Oh, so it's on Patreon with extra evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, you would think that after all I've been through, and with as hard as the federal government came after me, that all this extra evidence would have already come out, if it existed.
But with that being said, let's move on.
You want to move on?
Let's move on. The whole reason we're here today.
Yes, you want to move on.
Yes.
Well, folks, really, the real reason that we're here today was not that B story. It's the A story. My son, Chase. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Good. You look amazing. You're looking more.
Now, I'm going to end it there because this video was only about them responding to finding out Lindsie was doing this podcast. Now, go listen to the rest of it because they talk about Todd's Chase's journey with, his parents going to prison and him using alcohol as like a coping mechanism and just drinking all the time, him becoming, having a problem with alcohol and then him getting sober and him, working on himself or whatever. It was a very good episode. However, I can't wait till they address each episode that she did. And Kale Lowry, oh my goodness. Kale Lowry, what are you thinking? You literally just went up against Todd Chrisley, girl. You ain't got enough friends to back you up on this one. You only got about 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? And your baby daddies ain't gonna back you up either. You already know. So I don't know what you were thinking. And two, I think it's just by the grace of God. Yeah, Lindsay's out for herself. I think it's Lindsie is only out for herself. I think it's by the grace of God that Lindsie and Kale, first off, they've already butted heads a couple of times to where they. Am I wrong in saying this? Because I want to say they've butted heads a couple of times to where they didn't podcast together because they were bickering back and forth. But they always come back together. To me, I think it's because the money matters the most to them. And when money matters the most, if you have a very successful podcast, you'll be like, whatever. Yeah, They piss me off, but it is what it is. I got to get back to making this money. You know what I'm saying? They do have their successful podcast, Coffee Combos, which does really well. So, however, what I will say is if it ever comes to a time that they really, really bump heads, y'all already know. Like, them two, I think, will have a go at each other, and it'll be way worse than when Kale and V had their falling out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if V would have continued with Kale, Kale would have continued. But V walked away from that one. V walked away. If V, because they had problems before. Kale and V had problems before, but V always went back. But V was the one this time that was like, I'm not going back. I'm done with having drama with her, you know? So anyways, you guys, that was a response. As they respond to more, we will be talking about it. So make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Also, you guys, please leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know whose side are you on. Let me know who you believe. Also, go watch the Dr. Phil episode with Lindsie Chrisley because she tells a different story on the Dr. Phil episode. On the Dr. Phil episode, she talks about when she met up with her dad at the barbecue shack. She literally talks about how he hugged her. She was like, he hugged me, but I just felt like he was so disingenuous. And her podcast that she did with Kale the other day, you know, this one that we're talking about, she says, all I wanted was a hug. All I wanted was a hug. And Kale tears up and was like, that makes me so sad to know that, like, going into this, you just wanted your dad to hug you. And she was like, and all he was worried about was if I was wearing a wire. She don't mention nothing about a wire on the Dr. Phil podcast. She don't say, well, I mean, I only watched like 10 minutes into her talking about that particular situation. But in the 10 minutes that I listened to her talk about that situation, she didn't mention nothing about a wire. However, on here, she's like, I just wanted a hug from my dad. And all he was worried about is if I was wearing a wire. On there, she says, like, when we met up, he hugged me like right away, but I just felt like it was disingenuous. I just didn't feel like he really wanted to hug me, if you know what I mean. Then she tells Dr. Phil that she like said something to her dad along the lines of like, you need to get a hold of your minions, which she's talking about Savannah and Chase. So on Dr. Phil, she admits that she went into this meeting with her dad like, you need to get your minions, like attitude. However, on the podcast, she talks about it like her dad came in with like an attitude and that she came in with just, oh, poor little daughter who just misses her family so much. Which is it? Which is it? You know what I'm saying? Oh, it started last night. I'm going to have to watch it. Anyways, you guys, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. Also, follow me if you don't follow me already. Tonight, we're going to be live on TikTok watching Seeking Sister Wife at 8 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow, we'll catch up with Sister Wives because I missed that one last night. So you guys make sure y'all go follow me over on TikTok so y'all can go live with me at 8 o'clock tonight to watch Seeking Sister Wives. Yeah, and Todd already said he's forgiven her. He has. Yeah. He's already said that he forgives her. Yeah, I thought it was already out. I do need to watch that. Anyways, I love you guys. Like, share, subscribe. I'll be back here on YouTube with more. I got some Amber Portwood stuff we're going to talk about. So make sure I got some Amber Portwood stuff we're going to talk about. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye, everyone.